Hello.
Then. Now.
Countdown to the queens.
Episode number 500.
Forever.
Looks like hell froze over.
Without any more further ado,
Together.
let's jump straight into the show. Hello and welcome to episode number 77 of the TEW IX Challenge Run. We are here for ECW Tuesday, week 3 of December 2024. It is a week removed from The Rock being here last week and, giving us a rundown of everything that happened the last 6 months. But tonight is a big show in its own way. It'll probably be a lot shorter than last week's, because last week was a lore dump episode. This week is very in-ring, because we have our 8-man gauntlet to determine the number one contender for Warden's ECW World Championship at Saturday night's main event, taking place tonight. We know 2 people in that match, being Solo Sikoa and Dolph Ziggler, plus Blair Davenport, not Blair Davenport, even Naomi challenges Ruby Riott for the ECW Women's Championship tonight. And some more. So without any more further ado, let's jump straight into the show. We kick off the show with a recap of what happened last week to close the night. Kyle O'Reilly, the God, defeated Austin Theory to retain the television championship when he was laid out by Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens finally snapped and laid out his friend Kyle O'Reilly, the God. And the show starts and Kevin Owens is already in the ring, pacing around the ring with a microphone, getting booed. And he puts the microphone up to his mouth and they boo him. And you can see he's getting more visibly frustrated. And he stands there, he can't get a word out until eventually he does just snap. He just says, "Your God deserved everything he got." And he just slams the microphone down, storms to the back. So yeah, Kevin Owens, not a man of very few words to kick off the night. A very short and sweet explanation. We didn't really get an explanation much at all. But Kevin Owens, Kyle O'Reilly deserved it, apparently. We'll see. We then got back to the GM's office. Paul Heyman's watching that. He's shaking his head. After a week of everybody asking Kevin Owens why he did what he did, that's the explanation he's going to give. And then Ava's there. She's like, I actually think it's perfectly fine. I don't understand why he has to explain anything to these people. Sometimes people just deserve what they've got coming. Kyle O'Reilly was one of those people. Anyway, I've got some information about the Gauntlet tonight. Paul Heyman goes, "What is it?" He said, "So, I saw that Jey Uso was listed as a member of this Gauntlet match." And then Heyman goes, "Yes, well, if Solo is going to be in the match and my tribal chief couldn't be in the match, then it's only fitting that Jey is in the match." And then Ava goes, "Did you not listen to anything that The Rock said last week? We can't let Jey Uso be the ECW champion. We can't let Jey Uso hold this ECW championship, let alone again. So, as the assistant to the GM, I spoke to Jey on your behalf." Heyman goes, "I didn't want you to speak to Jey." She says, "And we agreed, we reached a stalemate." Okay. Jey Uso, I spoke to my dad. He said Jey Uso can be in the in the Gauntlet match tonight. But if he is, he's got to do it from number 1. So Jey Uso will be entrant number 1 in the Gauntlet tonight. Then Ava walks off and he goes, "That's... What happened to integrity, huh?" '85. We start off the show with the Women's World Championship match. The Gauntlet, and then there's a short Joe Hendry match in the middle as well. But technically, those are the only 3 matches. But of course, the Gauntlet counts as 7 matches, so it's fine. Ruby Riott defeats Naomi, cheating to win, using the ropes for leverage in 13:28 to make defense number 1 of the ECW Women's Championship. 90 for Ruby, 84 for Naomi. So yeah, these two are both sort of in the same ballpark where they were the standouts really of the tournament. And now obviously we see where Ruby is. Naomi could probably get to that level at some point soon, but for right now it's Ruby's turn, and she's in the middle of an actual heated storyline with arcs and story beats. So I can't open up a spot for Naomi right this second. And speaking of, after the match, out comes Blair Davenport. She goes, congratulations, Ruby. What a defense. Naomi, she's a hell of a competitor. Her and I have had some matches before. And we had a hell of a great time in there. And I was just coming to say, I thought about what you said last week. And you're right, Ruby. You make some great points. I came up short in Auckland. So of course I don't deserve another shot at the championship. No, you're right. And Ruby goes, thank you, Blair. I knew you'd come around. She goes, then I thought about it for a little bit longer and I realised you're still full of crap. And what's actually happening here is that I've sussed you out and you can't play me the way you played Florence. Okay? I want that championship opportunity that I promised. And if you're not gonna give it to me, perhaps this will make you change your mind. And she fucking slaps Ruby Riott in the face as hard as she can. And Blair just sort of smiles in her face and slowly backs away as Ruby just glares at her angrily, holding her jaw. And Blair's like, what? What are you gonna do about it, huh? Come on. They get a quick sit-down interview. Nigel McGuinness says he's got 5 guests. His guests are next gen. He said, last week, girls, Brandy officially came out here and announced that you were the latest members of the Monday Night Raw, the ECW roster. Can you talk about, who you are, what brought you to ECW? And Kathy goes, we've been together for a while now, Nigel, almost over a year and a half, as the faces of what is supposed to be the next generation of women's wrestling here in WWE. And I'd be surprised if people even remember that we existed, since most of our existence we've been contained to Heat, a show we made our own for the longest time. But obviously we still love the show and it's still our show, but we're ready to take that next step. But we were being kept away from taking that next step because of who? Because of Sasha Banks and Kiana James. Why? Okay, why, Nigel? And he goes, I don't know, you tell me. He goes, because Sasha Banks is afraid of change. 10 years ago, Sasha Banks was us. Sasha came up here, and Charlotte, and Becky. And they sparked change in the women's division, and they marked the debut of a new generation of women's wrestlers coming into WWE. And I can't deny them that. But we're next up. Okay? In 10 years' time, we'll be where Sasha Banks is now, where Bayley is now, where Becky Lynch is now, where Charlotte is now. But Sasha's doing every single thing she possibly can to manipulate everybody around her so that she keeps a hold of her spot. Now, I'm not saying Sasha doesn't deserve her spot, because obviously we grew up watching Sasha, and usually we'd want to be getting in the ring with girls like her, but if you don't deserve to be here, you don't deserve to be the women's champion, the championship that she was handed for coming up short, then maybe, take a look around, survey the scene, and maybe, prove that you do belong. Prove that you do deserve to be the $1 million champion. But hey, she doesn't have authority in her back pocket anymore. So let's see. Let's see what Sasha Banks, the CEO, is all about by herself. Because we're coming. We're coming. We cut backstage. We see Ashanti the Adonis. He's backstage. He watches that interview on the video and he goes, man, I don't know how you all do it. 5 hot new baddies coming to ECW. They better make me act up. He turns around and Moose and Apollo Crews are there just glaring a hole through him. He goes, nah, listen, man, I know you're all about thou shalt not sin, but when you look around here, you see some of the women we're around with every single day. I don't understand how you do it. And Apollo just goes, adultery does not fly, Mr. Adonis. Now, the Messiah is here to remind the world exactly who he is. And we're here to preach the lessons to the choir. You call yourself the God's Adonis Truth, right? He goes, that's right. He goes, so, If you think you're a message from God himself, you should know better than to start spitting this sinful language around here, Ashante. If you want to take the Lord's name in vain, we'll happily put you in your place and send you to heck with the rest of the sinners. And they walk off. He goes, oh, okay, I didn't realize it was that deep. God, you know. 47 rated match. Just a quick Joe Hendry squash win over Anthony Nese. He beats him with a standing ovation in 3:24. 59 for Joe Hendry, 57 for Anthony Nese. Yeah. And after the match, he takes a microphone. He says, oh, I see our good friend Rocky isn't here this week, you know. He came over here last week. He took over half the show by himself because he thinks he owns the place. He anointed his own family in positions of power, but yet he's not around. Do you know who is around here every single week, Rocky? My family, my bloodline. The real OG bloodline. You know, my brother Jay is about to win this gauntlet match and take that ECW championship back. I don't see you around here, and there's nothing you can do about it, Dwayne. So let's see. I invite you to ECW next week, Dwayne. Because I've got something very, very special that I want to show you. And trust me, you're gonna love it. I promise. Then cut backstage. Ruby Riott snatches a microphone backstage. He goes, Blair Davenport, Blair, you don't understand what you just did out there, okay? I was protecting you. I was looking after you. I feel responsible for you because God knows your last friend did nothing to do that. Okay? Some women around here aren't cut out to be the ECW Women's Champion. I know because for the longest time I was put in that exact same box. Okay? And it's the same box that you're in right now. So thank you for being such a useful pawn. I knew I could manipulate you to turn on Florence. It's great. But you've got to think about this, Blair. You don't want any of this. I'm more of a problem than you've ever faced before. If you thought losing to Florence in your home country was embarrassing, it's going to be nothing compared to what's going to happen to you next Saturday night. Because yes, I'll grant you this championship match you so desperately want. But promise you this, Davenport. If you're even conscious on Sunday, you'll be regretting that decision. Because nobody does that to me and gets away with it. And yeah, there it is. We've got no matches set for next week's ECW so far. So it will be at Saturday night's main event. Blair Davenport challenging the new ECW Women's Champion Ruby Riott in a singles clash for the championship. Blair Davenport, slapped Ruby Riott in the face. Ruby's been manipulating everybody around her recently. Will she be able to keep a hold of that championship? Or will Blair outsmart the champion? We'll have to find out next Saturday night in Long Island. Speaking of Saturday night's main event, the Gauntlet to determine Warden's challenger for the show is about to commence. But we start with Jey Uso. He's backstage. He's about to start his entrance. He's got a promo. He goes, "Yo, check it out, Us. Here I stand, OG Bloodline. Jey Uso, main event Jey Uso. We weren't around last week. And yet I hear Dwayne running his mouth. Not only was Dwayne running his mouth about the Bloodline, more specifically, he's running his mouth about me. Apparently, this latest war between our family started because of me, because Dwayne weren't happy the main event Jey Uso became ECW World Champion. Well, Dwayne, you can sit back on whatever movie set you're on right now because you're too important to show up to ECW every week like I am. And you can watch this gauntlet match, and you can piss in more bottles back there, and piss your pants of anger because main event Jey Uso is in this city. And he's about to become a 2-time ECW World Champion. I'd love to see the crash out the Hollywood's finest Dwayne Johnson is going to have when I once again prove that I lead this bloodline. Hit my music." And now he comes. His entrance kicks off, and he starts the gauntlet match. His first opponent is Austin Theory. You know, fresh off his loss in the main event last week, Theory gets another shot at gold here tonight. And obviously gets a 70 because these matches aren't super duper long because they're like parts of gauntlets. But yeah, Jey Uso does advance. He pins Austin Theory with a super kick, 723. 74 for Theory, 87 for Jey. The second man up is Mustafa Ali. He comes out and him and Jey get an 87. Holy shit. This part of the gauntlet goes big time. So I don't know what the matter with Theories was. Maybe Theories was just underneath the threshold that needed to like tick over 70. But Jey Uso does defeat Mustafa Ali 933 with a super kick. 88 for Ali, 94 for Jey. So yeah, Jey Uso's on a roll starting this gauntlet match out. But out comes Solo Sikoa next. And he comes out with the Tongans by his side. No Rock because the Rock's not here tonight. And him and Jey go at it. You know, Jey hits a big dive to the outside on both Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, but Tala Tonga is still there. You know, he's a nuisance. And in the end, the numbers game is too much. And Solo puts main event Jey Uso down with a spike in 6:54. 83 for Jey, 87 for Solo. And then, yeah, Solo after the match, you know, he calls the Tongans into the ring. This gauntlet comes to a halt because Solo and the Tongans, you know, they're laying waste to Jey Uso. When out from the back rushes Jimmy. He gets into the ring, he tries to fight off the Tongans and Solo. Joe Hendry runs out of a steel chair. He tries to take them all out, but there's still 4 of them and 3 of the OG bloodline. When out comes the OTC, he slides in. He gives a Superman punch to Solo, staggers him. Another Superman punch to Solo sends him to the outside of the ring. He gives an ooh-wah. He spears Big Talatonga down. And then, you know, another big pair of flying Usos over the top rope. Take out Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa. And Solo, you know, he gets back into the ring. Roman Reigns spears Solo Sikoa as well. And him and the Usos leave. Joe Hendry leaves behind them. And then Zack Sabre Jr.'s music hits. He comes out for the next part of the gauntlet. And Solo has, of course, been laid out. So ZSJ just comes in, locks him into a cradle, and eliminates him from the gauntlet match. 90 for Solo, 93 for ZSJ. You know, so in a real match, that would have gone hard, but it went, you know, a couple of seconds, because ZSJ just picked up the pin on Solo, because he was vulnerable. Next up is it Dolph? Yeah, I think it's Dolph next. So Dolph Ziggler's in, he gets ZSJ, gets an 80. I'll take that, sure, whatever. ZSJ's run does come to an end, sadly. Dolph Ziggler pins him with a super kick in 9 minutes and 6. 90 for ZSJ, 73 for Dolph. The penultimate entrant in the gauntlet is Hook. Hook comes out, and Hook and Dolph have like a nice little match. The thing with Dolph Ziggler, of course, is he bumps great. So Hook can toss Dolph Ziggler around, and they'll be like the best hook throws you've ever seen. Like, as he's getting ready to lock Dolph Ziggler in the red run, we hear like the sound of like something like running up and down bars like backstage. And then on the Titantron, the Dudleys are backstage, you know, laid out up against a wall. And Shinsuke and Shibata are there. Shinsuke's sort of laughing at him. Shibata's got his phone on translate going, ha ha, ha ha, ha ha, all that. And then Shinsuke just grabs his phone and he grabs the camera, he's like, Hook, I see potential in you. These guys, dead weight. And then Hook, like, he's looking up concerned at the Dudleys being attacked backstage. He turns around, he eats a super kick, and Dolph Ziggler pins him in 8:24 to advance to, I guess, the quote-unquote final of the gauntlet. 46 for Hook, 74 for Dolph Ziggler. And yeah, the last entrant is Sheamus. Sheamus makes his way out. Sheamus and Dolph Ziggler is 2012 all over again. But yeah, Sheamus is a funny one because he's not won a whole lot recently, but, you know, he's still a credible enough top guy to throw in there, so he could end up, you know, getting the win over Dolph Ziggler here. You know, he delivers the beats of the Baldwin to Ziggler, he hits that big knee on him, and, you know, he's going all at it, and in the end, Dolph Ziggler starts coming onto the back up. He hits a super kick on Sheamus. He backs into the corner, he's going for another super kick on Sheamus.
You know it's all about
when the music of Adam Cole Baby hits, and he walks out onto the stage, and he just stands on the stage, just glaring a hole through Dolph Ziggler, and Dolph, like, he's trying to, like, maintain his look, like, he's looking over at Sheamus, looking back at Cole, looking back at Sheamus, back at Cole, and then he takes his eyes off the prize for a couple of seconds, and he's brogue kicked in the face, and Sheamus pins him to win the gauntlet. So yeah, Adam Cole Baby is back. He's cost Dolph Ziggler here tonight, and of all people, Sheamus will challenge Warden for the ECW World Championship as Saturday night's main event. You know, sort of a out of nowhere challenger, but you know, should be a banger because it's Sheamus. You know what he delivers constantly one after another. But yes, Sheamus and Warden for the ECW World Championship as Saturday night's main event. After the match, you know, Ziggler starts staggering. There's no other Paragon members out there with him tonight. And Adam Cole gets in there and he just starts laying fists on Dolph. I forgot to take Adam Cole out of the group. He just starts laying fists on Dolph Ziggler. They punching him. He gets into the ring. He drops him with that last shot. And then we go off air. You know, he's squatting down. Oh, Adam Cole, baby. To close out a rather short but eventful ECW. 81. Sure, we'll take that. Obviously, with the Gauntlet, matches were going to vary because they had to vary in length. But yeah, I think even with the Gauntlet being like most of the show, I still managed to fit in enough interesting and like important stuff. The Kevin Owens angle like was perfect for this show because he was never going to give, you know, the 10-minute monologue explanation. He's Kevin Owens, he doesn't have to do that. So like that falling on the show with the Gauntlet on was perfect because like you can kick off with a really short promo. But yes, so I'm as more like you thought of the show. Do let me know in the comments below. And I'll see you next time for SmackDown. See you then.